welcome everyone to this year's Nelson College London Virtual Employers Forum. My name is Kashka Rowlands and I'll be your host today. I hope everyone is doing well. Here at the KEC, we are extremely excited to welcome back some old faces and some new ones also. It is our privilege to be able to bring both the student and the employer together in a virtual setting, something we are yet to do. The Employers Forum remains the same in terms of its objectives, which are, of course, to enhance the student experience, to bridge the gap between student and employer, and to, of course, drive student progression always. The Employers Forum has and continues to be one of NCL's most prestigious events, and we hope to continue to live up to those expectations and, of course, its reputation. We are quite competitive here at the KEC, so we are most definitely up for that challenge. So, without further ado, grab a pen and paper for some note-taking and some refreshments. Unfortunately, they're on you this year. And please get comfortable as we dive into our employers' introductions. This segment will provide you with an understanding of the business at hand, alongside some really thought-provoking and interesting tips and advice on your future careers. So, enjoy.
Hello there, my name's Anna Nolan. I work for Adecco in Romford, a recruitment agency. I am absolutely delighted to be working with Nelson College and providing some advice and some feedback for all of your wonderful students. My first piece of advice is don't panic. Do not worry if you don't know what you want to do yet. I didn't. And the wonderful thing about life is you have plenty of options. So make sure you research. Think about one or two industries that interest you and look into the career paths on offer and how you could possibly get into that industry. My second piece of advice is to approach hiring managers or agencies when possible. There's nothing worse than just sending a CV and then not doing anything about it, not following up, not getting names of individuals to speak to, because you need to build relationships with these people. There may not be an instant job role for you, so it could take some perseverance, but believe me, the more you're in touch with them without harassing, but showing them you're interested, you're committed, you're dedicated, and you're enthusiastic about working for them, that will make you stand out. My final piece of advice is to build up your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is so popular now across recruiters and across employers. It's pretty much standing out now more so than CVs. So make sure you really show your personal branding, you put on there your education, what you're looking to do, you connect with as many people in the industries that you want to work with as possible, and you look out for the job alerts as well. That's it from me for now. I hope you found all of this advice helpful, and I wish you every luck in your career.
Hello, my name's James Baker. I'm an education consultant. After many years of working in the education industry, I decided to go it alone. Please excuse my lockdown haircut. I desperately needed a haircut. I think my best tip I can give you when looking for a job is preparation. It's difficult to get an interview, but when you get an interview, preparation. Really do your homework on them, on the company that you're going to work for. Find out who they do business with if you can. Obviously go through the website, but go right into the website. Don't just have a scan of it. Really read thoroughly the website. Look at who they work for, look at some of the success they've had perhaps, and do some research on the industry. Hopefully you'll know some of it already, but have a look at perhaps some say people they work with, deals they may be working on, if it's in the public domain. Just preparation is the best. Oh, and a haircut, make sure you have one of them. Yes, preparation is the most important thing. Do your homework.
Hi everybody, I'm Jen Thomas and I am the HR manager for TrustWave. TrustWave is a leading cybersecurity and managed service provider that helps businesses fight cybercrime, data protection, and reduced security risk. So I'm really delighted to be able to share with you today my top 5 tips to help you along your career journey. So tip number 1 is plan your journey. And by this I mean plan a pathway for the next 3 to 5 years. Where do I want to be? Where do I see myself? That just gives you a really clear and defined approach to your job search. That way it's not scattergun and you're not just applying for everything, and you've created a vision for yourself as to what exactly you're trying to achieve in your career. So tip number 2 is write different versions of your CV. So your CV is key because that's what's going to encourage people to interview you. So if you haven't done so already, proofread your CV multiple times. Ask other people around you, your colleagues, your fellow students, your children, if they're old enough. Ask as many people as you can to proofread your CV because language is key. And for most roles, you're getting multiple applications. That is what the tool that employers are going to use to decide whether they want to see you versus somebody else. Tip number 2 is your presentation. And this is so important. Work on your posture. Sit in the mirror, look at yourself. Make sure you give people eye contact when you're talking to them. Think about your body language. These things are so important. Usually within the first 7 seconds, a decision is made whether that person is the right fit for the culture at an organisation. So really think about how you present yourself. And I'm reading a book at the moment and it's got an amazing quote in there and it says, dressed how you want to be addressed. So by that it means, if you want to be seen as a seasoned professional or the right person for the job, make sure that your attire tells people that you are the right person for the job. So tip number 4 is your interview skills. It's really important for you to sit in front of the mirror. Again, use your friends, use your family, and practice how you would answer kind of those typical interview questions. Once you've found a job that you want to apply for, you've read the job description, start to think, okay, what kind of questions would they ask me? And what experience do I have where I've demonstrated the skills, the knowledge, capabilities required for this job? And how do I demonstrate those capabilities in a sentence or a few sentences? That way, when it comes to being interviewed, you will be very clear, you'll be very concise, and you'll tick the boxes. Basically, you'll tell the employer what they want to hear. So my final tip, and tip number 5, is you must be prepared to take rejection, okay? I can remember at one point in my career applying for, interviewing for almost 15 different jobs, okay, until I was finally accepted for a role. But that's fine, that's okay, because by interviewing for multiple jobs, you're almost polishing yourself. You're polishing your interview skills. So you must build resilience, right? And if you apply for 100 jobs and you only get 5 interviews out of those, the 100 applications, that is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so thank you very much for your time. Take care. I look forward to receiving questions. Stay home and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Julian Hook. I work for Marco Pierre White Restaurants. I am Food and Beverage Director based in Birmingham. Delighted to be part of your virtual employers forum discussing students seeking employment. What advice I would give. I've got 7 points, and so I'll quickly get into the points. Number 1, decide which discipline you want to work in, whether it be hotels, rooms division, food and beverage, sales, HR, whether it be restaurants, quick service, casual, fine dining, whether it be contract catering, whether it be event management, whether it be the travel industry. I would seek advice from your tutors because experience is a massive thing and they will help you and guide you. Be realistic about your target and goal, but be committed and focused when you have decided which area you want to go into. My second point is target your entry level. Be ambitious, but be realistic. For example, if Hilton or Marriott are advertising for a reception supervisor, would you, without any experience or little experience, expect to get that job? It would be questionable. My thoughts on this would be apply for a entry-level reception position, and from that position, work hard, prove yourself, and you will quickly rise up the ladder. My third point is search for your desired position. It's very important not just to take anything that you see advertised. That is leaving everything to chance. You must control your destiny and persevere in getting the position that you want. My fourth point is sell yourself. Practice this with your friends and at home. In an interview, you have to tell the interviewer how you would benefit their company, that you are ambitious. And in the interview, be confident in your knowledge and your skill base. Be honest, as you will be talking to a very experienced person and they will see through anything that is not the truth. My fifth point is prepare yourself well. Research into the position. Make sure you tick all the boxes that the employer is looking for. Find out things about the company. Gain knowledge about the company. So if questions are asked in the interview about the company, you will be able to answer them, and that will impress. My sixth point is prepare yourself in a professional manner. In an interview, you have to be immaculately presented. You have to smile, and you have to have a confident poise. Body language at interview stage is crucial, and confidence is the main part of that body language. My seventh point is learn interview techniques. Practice interviews with friends. Interviews are a stressful time, and the more that you practice, the less stressful they will become. And watch interview training videos on YouTube, because they will give you some good guidance. Well, those are my 7 points. I hope they've been helpful for you. If you have any questions at all, please direct them to me and I will be delighted to answer them. Thank you. Goodbye.
Hi everyone, my name is Ray Quintel. I'm the Managing Director of a company called the Careers Academy. We offer careers coaching and wellbeing services. We've been doing that since 2011 with many different organisations in the community, including colleges like yourself, Nelson College. Today I'm going to talk about 3 key areas that obviously what we offer and how maybe we can help you. So number 1, we do a lot of effective job search programs and career coaching, how to write an effective CV, how to write applications with a strong supporting statements. It's key that you get someone to look at it and someone to check what you've written to make sure you're addressing all the competencies. How to write the narrative, there's a skill and a knack to it. So we can show you them tips and techniques really, really well for effective job search, for online applications, paper-based applications, and also how to present your CV more effectively to employers, both speculatively, you make a speculative approach, to employers that you want to work for, and also obviously when you just do normal job search for opportunities that may be of particular interest. So that's the first service area that we can offer. Number 2, we do something around obviously developing your mindset and your likability. There's a great saying that people buy people, yeah? They don't buy your CV from the start, they don't buy your application form, they buy more or less you, your energy, what you bring, yeah? Obviously your positive emotions and so on. We're going to look at that, how to boost your likability and achieve your life dreams. So we do sessions on that as well, one-to-one sessions and small group work sessions doing that too. And then number 3, the wellbeing service. Obviously it's great to have a CV. It's great obviously to get your confidence boosted. It's great, obviously, to improve your mindset, but most importantly of all, are you smoking? We can help reduce smoking or give up smoking. Are you overweight? You're lacking motivation? You're a bit depressed? Sure, everyone's a bit depressed at the moment with this coronavirus thing going on. So that's holistically all the services that we can offer, because it's no good having an effective CV, it's no good having a great likability content if you don't have the well-being, the mindset and the health to obviously complement that. So hope to see you soon.
Hi everybody, my name is Ross Cannon. I'm one of the co-owners of the Salad Kitchen. Thank you Nelson College for allowing me to speak today. I do apologise for the lockdown look. Still waiting for those hairdressers to come back to work, but hopefully soon. The Salad Kitchen is 5 years old. We've got 15 staff across 3 sites and a couple of market stores across London. Great business, really happy environment, good rapport with our customers, pretty much like a little community. I think that is one of the big things that I would offer as advice if you are going into our industry. Personality, to be able to build that rapport with customers, to be able to build that rapport with your colleagues, and just have a happy environment. Because essentially when people come in to see you, to either get the products you sell, if they're met with someone who is happy, interested in what they're doing, it makes life a lot easier as a company for the sales, the way the business runs, and the communication, which I think is one of the most important things. So yeah, personality is a massive one to show to your potential employer.
Hi, Sanjay from KS Dynamic Consultants. So what we do at our company is we do insurances, we do mortgage referrals, and we also do website development. Been a great honour to take part in the Employers Forum on behalf of Nelson College. Some things I want to tell you in regards to getting a job. With the current climate, it's going to be quite difficult, but the first thing to do is brush up on your CV, make sure it's on point, get some help with that. A lot of employers would look at that favourably. So you can go to sites like Reed, Monster Jobs to help you brush up on your CV, and also brush up on your LinkedIn profile. That is going to be a major factor as well. They can look at your Facebook, LinkedIn profile when you apply for jobs, and apply for specific jobs. Look at specific fields you're looking for and apply only for those jobs initially. And go to a lot of, if you can, go to a lot of business seminars, development seminars, and meet people. The more people you know, the more opportunities you have.
Hi, I'm Linda Ransom from Green Parasol, a boutique training consultancy that specialises in delivering world host customer service training. It was face-to-face, but we're going to have to re-look at that now, and like everybody, we've been affected by the coronavirus. So thank you for Nelson College for giving me the opportunity to partake in your virtual employer forum. So first thing you need to think about when we start moving back into working again. I'm not saying normal, because there is not going to be a new normal, which we're not all sure about, but there will be jobs. They will be different, and you need to think about your transferable skills. But another thing, just to touch on before we answer questions that you'll send to me later, is an employer will ask, what things have you done over the last few months? What did you do during the lockdown? So have a think about that. You most probably had assignments to do from Nelson College. You may be gone out and clapped on Thursday evenings, but what else do you do, or could you have done? You don't look back at this time and think, what did I do? I just sat at home and watched Midsummer Murders or something. So there are lots of online training opportunities, but in addition, there's things you can do for your community, volunteering, helping vulnerable friends and neighbours. I myself have been making masks, various types, with matching bags. And my neighbours have been making scrubs for Lewisham Hospital. You never know the connections you might make if you do something like that. And that in turn may lead to somebody who knows somebody who may be able to give you guidance going forward. So also in this time, because we have lots of time, play around with things like Zoom, but being aware of your privacy settings, because you need to keep downloading the latest version to ensure that you're safe. But when employers do start looking for people to employ, it's not going to be a lot of face-to-face interviews to start with. It will be virtual and then maybe face-to-face. Or maybe you will just be living in a new virtual world. So the important thing is to get to grips with things like Zoom, get to grips, as I've had to do, with making mini videos of yourself online. Okay, so look forward to hearing more questions. Good luck and stay safe.
What great advice and words of wisdom there from our employers. I love the diversity of each business. This, we hope, will allow our students to engage with different perspectives and viewpoints. Let's now swiftly move on to our first student. Florin Duta, please take it away.
Hello, my name is Florin Duta, and my question is, what characteristic does the employers value the most in employees?
Great question there, Florin. What's your take on this, Sanjeev?
Hi, Florian. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much for your question. And the characteristic an employer would value most in its employees would be loyalty. Firstly, when they're looking for someone that's going to stay with them after they spend all that money on training, they don't expect you to leave. So make sure you're letting your potential employer know that you're not looking for a 1-month role, you're looking for a career, to build a long-term career with them. So that's the main thing. Hope that's okay. Thank you. Bye.
Being loyal is a quality we often overlook, yet it is crucial to longevity in any role. Great answer there, Sanjeev. This brings me nicely onto our next student, Dan Skirtu.
My question is, what is the best solution against a problem work which of one good manager can take it?
An interesting question there, Dan. What's your thoughts on this, Ray?
Dan made a decision with his staff recently, or this year, but in reality it was not the best one. So how can Dan say I made a poor decision to his staff, and how to find the courage to be sincere and apologise? So, good question, Dan. Well, what I would advise you to do first and foremost, Dan, is do a little bit of research on the internet about your ego. Yeah, understand the ego, because the ego finds it very difficult to backtrack when they've made a decision. Yeah, because we have this way about ourselves that we're always right, and we don't like to be wrong, or we don't like to make bad decisions. So first of all, study that, and then you realise that obviously getting rid of the ego makes it very easy to obviously go back to people and say sincerely and apologise to people and say, look guys, I've made the wrong decision, I'm sorry, I'd like to try and rectify it, and obviously, I'm looking for your support and your feedback to take things forward. So this question is not as complicated as what it seems. It's basically a very simple, I'm sorry, look at yourself, your ego, and say, you're not here to make, obviously, more problems. Sorry always helps, it softens the blow, people can accept that. And then obviously be very humble and very straightforward, obviously feeding back about why you made the decision, most importantly of all, how you need this support to rectify the decision. Okay, hope that helps, Dan. Hope that helps with you as well, Nelson College, and have a good day. Bye-bye.
What a great answer there, Ray. Thank you so much for that. I hope that answered your question, Dan. Next up, we have Matthew Afoye.
My question is, what has been the impact of COVID-19 on hospitality industry? Thank you.
A very fitting question for the current uncertain circumstances we are currently living in. Ross, I'm interested to know your answer on this, especially since your business operates in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, thank you for the question. How has the coronavirus affected the hospitality industry? For us, it's impacted us in a big way. Obviously, we've been closed for the last couple of months. It was really a time for our company that this year was going to be a really big growth year. But unfortunately, I do believe this now, it's going to be very much different. I think what's happened is allowed us to look at the business and be able to look at different ways of growing the business, because I do not think it's going to be the same industry when we go back to it for a while. But on the flip side, I do believe that any sort of situation like this is full of opportunity as well. It gives us time to look at our company and really dissect the business and see where we're strong, where we're weak, or where we can take it. So the industry will recover 100%, but as an independent business, it's just the dynamic thinking that will get us out of this. I really do think it's one of these situations that can make us stronger.
One interesting way to look at things. I can appreciate how Ross turns a somewhat unpleasant situation into an opportunity rather than a setback. Our next student is Mohammed Uthman Sethi. Please, take it away.
And I have a question to employer. I have taken by myself a break from work to study. In your opinion, what does it take to get a job in this hospitality industry straight after getting a degree? Is it more difficult in comparison to someone who has had a lot of experience? Thank you.
A great question I'm sure many students would like to know. Your thoughts on this, please, Jennifer?
Hi, Mohammed. What an excellent question. So I don't have direct experience in the hospitality industry, but from my perspective, it takes three things for you to get a job there. I think the first thing is you need a really strong CV, and because there's quite a lot of people working in the industry doing a similar job, you really need to make sure that your CV stands out and that you're pulling out all of the good experience that you have that fits the job spec for the role that you're applying for. You have to secondly be really customer and client focused in your CV, and then if you get an opportunity to interview, always talk about in any role that you've been in, always talk about what you do to make yourself client or customer focused, why you put the customer first. If you've ever had a difficult situation with a customer, how you've used your skills, knowledge and experience to resolve that. And I think the first thing you need to do is practice your interview skills. Use your children, your wife, your partner, anybody, get them to sit in front of you, ask you questions, plan some out, but also, ask them to throw in some questions that you're not ready for, because it's really important for you to be polished at interview. So the second part of your question is about, you asked if it's more difficult without the experience, and I would say that it isn't more difficult, because it's all about how you package and sell yourself. Somebody can get a job with no experience whatsoever, but if they package and sell themselves in a way that whoever is interviewing them could buy into very quickly, they're going to get that job. In most cases, sometimes a decision is made in the first 7 seconds, so you really have to make yourself sellable. And also the third thing I would say is, remember to, if you're going to include the break that you've had from work on your CV, remember to prepare a really strong explanation as to why you took the decision to study rather than work, because employers are always interested in, if you've had a break, the reason for that break. Good luck.
Thank you for that detailed answer there, Jennifer. I'm sure you've put many students' minds at ease with that. Our next student is Mercy Koba. Please, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Mercy Koba. I would like to ask a prospective employee a question. What qualities will impress you most about an employee? Thank you.
I'm interested to know the answer. What's your thoughts on this, Anna?
Thanks, Mercy, for your question. So in terms of what qualities would impress me the most about an employee, I would say one of the first things that springs to mind is having a willful attitude. So being very open to take on tasks, nothing is too big or too little, just being that really kind of open and engaging employee to any task that's assigned to them. Another attribute I'd say would be time management. So if you're in an interview and they say kind of what skills or what strengths do you have, try and avoid saying organised, because everyone will say that and it may prevent you from standing out. So focus instead on time management and how you kind of prioritise your work, so you can sort of relate that back to your studies or anything you do kind of in retail. Just be very specific. So don't just say, oh, I've got good time management skills. Say, I'm very good at kind of handling priorities and planning my day and keeping on top of any kind of pressing tasks. So just be specific and try and draw on your experience where you can. Another attribute I'd say would be listening. So following instructions, asking questions. There's nothing worse than kind of working with an employee that clearly isn't taking on board what you're saying, and you really had to kind of, work at breaking down those barriers. So just listen. My manager has always said to me, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so make use of that. And yeah, that's something that's been really valuable to me throughout my career. And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Those attributes that you list, Anna, are incredibly important. I especially like your tip on being specific with your answers. Thank you so much for that. And moving swiftly on to our next student, Rose Gihana, please, your question.
My question is, what do you think are the roles and responsibilities of working in a hotel? Thank you.
Interesting question there, Rose. Linda, this one's perfect for you.
Hi Rose, thanks for the question. What are the roles and responsibilities for working in a hotel? Well, it depends on the size of hotel, but most hotels will have a manager and front of house, housekeeping and maintenance. If they have a restaurant, they'll have chefs and waiting staff. I'm sure you've all been to the budget brands and seen the same person, the duty manager, checking you in and then serving breakfast. Many of the large hotel groups would expect you to work in each department as part of your training plan before you will go on to progress being a department manager or deputy manager. I myself started off as a stillroom assistant, washing up, and then progressed to silver service waitress and wine waitress. The important thing to remember is that everyone's role will involve ensuring the customer enjoys their stay, and it's not just the role of customer-facing staff. As a guest, in fact, you may never even be in contact with housekeeping or maintenance staff. In fact, coming out of lockdown, you will be very unlikely to bump into these staff, but they are a really important part of the customer's experience, and a not very clean room or a faulty shower may end up on TripAdvisor. Your responsibility, in whatever role you're in, working in hotels, to ensure the customer has a great experience and feels safe and secure, as it's your aim for the customer to return and that they tell family and friends and via social media the world how great your hotel is. It's easy to Google jobs roles in hotels and see the job descriptions, but be aware most of them were written before the pandemic. We are likely to radically change how we do things in hospitality. From contactless check-in and check-out, the guests may not even encounter a human being, but we will need people behind the scenes checking that rooms are ready, that refunds are processed and special requests are fulfilled. I strongly recommend that you read the latest information that's freely available, and it changes all the time, with regards to how other countries come out of lockdown and what the industry leaders in the UK are looking at doing. For example, will it be 2 metres or 1 metre? That's waiting for the WHO guidance on that. You may be part of a team that has to rethink, for example, how the front of house lobby area set out to keep people safe and making people feel welcome. Why not look at, I highly recommend, the Montgomery Group on Crowdcast, also look at the Caterer, Imbibe Online blog, Big Hospitality, but there's loads of information out there. Lastly, remember that not all customers are the same. There will be the freedom group, the younger who want to travel more, have more experiences after lockdown. But then there will be the more vulnerable groups, and you will have to do more marketing to get that segment back. These ideas will be in your future your future employer's mind. Make sure you let them know that you understand the challenges going forward, because everybody will have new roles and new responsibilities in hotels.
What a thorough answer. The hospitality industry will clearly take some time to recover. And with that, consequently, there will be new roles and responsibilities for everyone working in hotels. As Linda put so clearly, thank you for that. Our next student is Helena De Silva.
Good morning. My name is Elena. I am in the final year of the Business Management Top-Up degree. I like to apply for this position, but I don't have experience. Thank you.
Experience seems to be a common theme with our students. Please shed some light on this, Jennifer.
Hi, Helena, and thank you for your question. So I would encourage you to apply for a job if you don't have the experience, if firstly it's on your career track. So if you've set out a plan for yourself, say for example you've set out a 5-year career plan and you said, right, in the next 3 years I see myself here, and that job is somewhere on that track, then I would encourage you to apply for it, because even if you don't get the job, the feedback that you get from the interview process, if you do get to interview stage, would just be really useful for you. Or even, for example, if you don't get shortlisted, you could always ask the employer, why didn't you shortlist me? What do I need? And it's also good to get yourself in front of different people and to network and to create contacts. So go ahead and apply for that job. Good luck.
Thanks for that, Jennifer. I think you answered that extremely well. Our next student up is Melvin Griffith. Please go ahead.
I'm about to complete my BA top-up degree within the next couple of months. My question to you, however, is what steps or systems do you have in place that would assist me to progress within your organization based on the knowledge I have and experience, practical experience, I should say, in the various subjects? Thank you very much. Bye.
An interesting question there, Melvin. Please, Jennifer, would you please shed some light for us?
Well done, Melvin, on getting so close to the end of your degree. The organisation that I work in is very flat and lean, so it's important that we have people who have very broad experience and skill set, and have worked maybe in lots of different sectors, because we don't have a lot of support in our organisation due to the size. It's quite a small organisation.
Thank you for that thorough answer there, Jennifer. I hope that answered your question, Melvin. Up next, we have Albena Dimitrova.
My question is, how I can convince the employer I'm capable of doing this job without experience? Thank you.
I like that you're thinking ahead. I'd like to know your thoughts on this one, Anna.
So this is a really good question. I do get asked this question a lot from other graduates, because it's really difficult coming out of university and trying to secure a role when you're up against potentially candidates that may have experience in that field already. One thing I'd say to really focus on when you're answering or speaking to employers about what you can offer them is think about the benefit to them. So the fact that you are a graduate, you're new to this line of work, is great, because you haven't necessarily picked up any bad habits from previous companies. You are essentially a blank slate to them, so they can train and mould you with how they do things. So that's actually a real credit to you, and something that you should definitely kind of express during interviews, that you're very willing and able to learn. Also, the fact that you are a graduate shows that you have dedication, commitment, you're hardworking, you've got kind of time management skills. They're all the kind of soft skills we talk about often when we are representing candidates who may not necessarily have experience. We talk about those soft skills that can be transferred to the workplace, and they are, aspects that you can draw on examples for. So, if you talk about the fact that you have done many late nights studying and getting your dissertations done, that shows real work ethic. Also, make sure you research the company. We've talked about that before, and it is something that is very flattering to a new employer, that you've actually researched their company and you want to work for them. You don't just want any job, you want to work for them. And that enthusiasm will definitely put you, really make you stand out compared to other candidates who may not have applied themselves as much as you. So that's something to definitely think about. And also talk about any kind of extracurricular work you've done, any voluntary work, any retail work you've done, because that's all experience. And, that mentality of kind of getting yourself up every day, getting to work, doing whatever retail work you've done before, they're again skills that you can take into this next job. So I don't think you should think of it as in you're convincing them. I think you should just kind of show them what you've got to offer, and also think about, like I said, the benefit to them. Okay, so 2 more points I forgot to mention is personality. So make sure you get your personality across during the interview. Try to relax and try to show them who you really are as a person, because that is actually probably one of the most important things to an employer, is that the person actually fits in with their team and that you gel as individuals. It's got to be a match. You've got to kind of get along well and kind of build rapport with each other. So make sure you smile and make sure you really let your personality shine. Talk about how your friends might describe you or how your teachers might describe you, and ask them about the team as well. Ask them what they enjoy about working for the company, because that really does show, again, a keen interest, and you're making sure it's the right place for you as well as it is for them. It's a two-way thing. Don't forget, it's a two-way thing.
Thank you for going above and beyond with your answer there, Anna. I'd like to pass the next 2 questions on to Ramona Disaka.
The first one is, what are the company's values and what characteristics are you looking for in an employee in order to achieve those values? And the second one is, how does success looks from your position and how do you measure it? Thank you, and I'm looking forward in hearing your answers. Bye.
What well thought out questions there, Ramona. I'd like to know your thoughts on these, James.
I think company values are very important. Some people see it as glossy, sort of wallpaper really, but they do mean something. And what you write as your company values should be real. They should be at the cornerstone of everything you do as a company. I think about the companies that you want to work for. What do they stand for? You don't want to work for a company that doesn't have similar beliefs and morals that you believe in. Integrity and honesty are very important. Would you be happy working for a company that wasn't as honest as it should be, or that you think it should be? So yeah, integrity and honesty is huge. Ethical. Some people may have problems working for in certain industries. Does that company speak to you? And do you think that company is fair? You can look on the internet. There's lots and lots of examples of company values. I've been looking around, and I've been looking at Coca-Cola's, and I thought Coca-Cola, let's look at a market leader, one of the biggest companies in the world. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 on their for their company values. So the first one is leadership, the courage to shape a better future. Number 2, collaboration, leverage collective genius. 3, integrity, be real. Don't be full of hot air, be real. for accountability. If it is to be, it is up to me. I think that's a personal thing that I always believe in. Don't pass the blame on to other people. If you've made a mistake, you've made a mistake. This happens. Employers will respect you a lot more if you're honest about that and show that you can be accountable. But also companies should be accountable. Passion, committed in heart and mind. Of course, if you're not passionate about it, then why do it? Diversity, as inclusive as our brands. And quality. What we do well. You've got to believe in what you're doing. And if the quality is not there, it's very difficult. Me personally, I have to believe in what I'm doing. So they are important company values. Number 2, what does success look like from your position? How do you measure it? I think it depends on the business you're in. Obviously, businesses are focusing on bottom lines and profits, which is obviously a huge driving factor in any business. If you don't have any profits, you're not going to have a business. It's obviously that is the driving force behind every business, really. You have to make money. But it's not quite as simple as that. I mean, in education, it's not, I worked in a private language school, so yes, we had to make a profit, of course we did. We're not funded by the government or a big backer. So you have to make money. But I would not expect, if I'm sitting down giving targets to my academic director and saying you need to make this amount of money every year, he's going to say, well, how can I directly do that? My job is to make sure students get the right education and get the academic quality they've paid for. So he contributes to the success of the school. If the academic quality of the school is not very good, then he or she is contributing to the school. And obviously if it's not good, you won't get repeat business and that will affect the bottom line. But you have to be realistic with your targets for different members of staff and different departments. Success could be cutting down on wastage. The amount of stationery companies buy and don't use, and stockpile, sitting there in a cupboard there for years doing nothing. What a waste of money. When you buy stuff, do you need it? Is questions your team should be asking. So I think success can be measured in many different ways. As a manager, you would use appraisals to praise people, to say if they're doing their job as well as they should be, perhaps. Are they meeting the KPIs that you set them, and the targets? But not all targets are going to be about finance. It could be about saving money, making money. It could be, with an academic person, you're going to be judging them on what they've achieved academically. Do you have a happy student body? How many students have succeeded this year? Have got the exam results they needed to get? Perhaps you have an Ofsted inspection, a British Council inspection. You might set a target of how many points of excellence you want to achieve in those inspections, which are really hard. So success comes in all different ways. It's not just about money, but ultimately we do need to make money if we want to stay in business. So that is the overriding driving factor for businesses. But it will depend on what you want to do, what industry you want to go into, and it will depend on what part of that industry you're a cog in the wheel. You're part of the machine, and you'll have your targets specific to your role, and if you hit them, then that's a success. Well, I hope that's answered your questions, Ramona, and thanks for having me. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Always great with his words. Thanks for that, James. I'd like to pass the last 2 questions on to Varuni Disanayaka. Please, your questions.
Thanks. I have a couple of questions for Julian Hook. I know that you had to consider several key facts while planning to reopen your restaurants. Has your business model changed?
Hi, Verini. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the question. And I'm going to answer with Birmingham as the example, as that's where I'm based for the company. Now, COVID-19 has brought huge uncertainty to the hospitality industry. It has brought enormous uncertainty to the general public. And as a business, we must assess, review, and modify our business accordingly. So it's not so much the business model that is being changed, more so the operating model. So I'm going to deal with this in bullet points. So number one, we are preparing the business to be socially acceptable. So we're dealing with social distancing. We're taking every other table out. Instead of having 170 covers, we will be able to service 90 covers. We are heightening the personal safety and for our staff and our guests by having hygiene stations spaced around the restaurant floor. 7 in total. This will include face masks, antiseptic hand gels, rubber gloves and bins. And we are going to go cashless. So there's no transmission of any issue regarding the movement of cash. It's our aim to impress all times that we are showing care, due diligence, and that we are taking action. The second point is with this in mind. We must communicate with our guest and our team more now. And we are doing this by strengthening and focusing our social media activity. So the things in this area that we are considering are we're deciding what the message is. We must make that message clear and simple. We must send different but relevant messages. And this is to continue to hold people's interests. We're using different communication channels. We are preparing videos for Facebook and Instagram. We're preparing text messages for our website and our e-shots. It's important that we keep updating these messages. We must keep them relevant, fresh, fun, but always informative. And where we can, we're going to use local free social media platforms and blog platforms. We are at all times in this area looking to build guest confidence in us. If we don't build that guest confidence, we will not get those guests coming to us. And this is a crucial aspect of most restaurants, most intelligent restaurateurs' aim. So our social media messages are as follows. Social distancing, guest and staff welfare, telling the new journey through our business, stressing our integrity, and thanking people for considering using Marco Pierre White for their next dining experience. So here, the important thing is to involve and engage our guest and our team in our communication. The next area I'd like to talk about is reviewing our opening offer. We've got to remember that the supply chains are broken. So deliveries will not take place as they used to. We have to wait until those supply chains are mended. And consequently, it's important to contact suppliers and find out what they can and can't do, and accordingly change our menu. And there's nothing wrong with having a shortened menu during this opening issue, 3 months, 4 months, however long it may be. The guest will understand. However, the guests won't understand if you hold the same menu and they ask for something and say, oh, we can't get that. So we are being very careful about what we can offer and can't offer. We are retraining our staff to understand how we have to progress now. What are our new service methods? What are new service standards? These have changed a lot. Will we be serving wine to guests? No, we won't. Do we carry the food by hand to the table or by tray? Do we wear rubber gloves? All these things that we still have to consider, and we don't have our answers yet, but they're not difficult to answer. We have to prepare how many guests we can accommodate due to the social distancing. And at this point, it's very important that restaurants and restaurateurs work out whether it is financially viable to open. Some restaurants aren't big enough to continue trading and have social distancing. They just don't get enough covers in. They don't get enough revenue coming through. Luckily, we're a big space and we can trade profitably, even with social distancing. We are looking to review our booking procedure. More so now than ever, the reservation team is important. This now is the first line of direct verbal contact with our guest, and we must tell our guest or give our guest as much information about what we're doing in a very short period of time. Again, to build this confidence factor that is so important. So, the main factor when planning the opening for me is to involve the whole management team, in fact, the whole team all the way through. Now, finally, a few items that perhaps people won't think about and consider, but are very, very important. The restaurant so far has been closed, or the restaurant business has been closed 6 weeks, and therefore the equipment has not been used for 6 weeks, and it's anticipated there's another 4 or 6 weeks to go. So, before opening, all the kitchen equipment, the bar equipment must be checked. We must have a maintenance team in, and all the equipment must be serviced. This is very important because obviously with the use of gas and especially the use of water, if that water system has not been used for 6 weeks, is the water stagnant? Is there any issue with the water supply? So these things must be checked. We must review our maintenance of the space. Is it in good repair after 6 to 12 weeks of closure? And my last point is, when, from the management point of view, you're considering the closure and the reopening, review the cost of closing. Landlords have not stopped taking rent or service charge, nor will they. And it is hard negotiation with the landlord to see if anything can be done. The council must be contacted to talk and review the rate situation. So it's not just a relationship between the business and the guest, it's a relationship between the business and other stakeholders. So I hope that's been helpful. I could go on for a much longer time, but I think the points I wanted to get across were operational points, how we've had to review and modify what we're going to be doing.
Thank you. That's a great comprehensive answer. I am amazed at the amount of planning you had gone through. Great insight for our students and lecturers. My next question is, what advice can you give our soon to be graduating students to be workplace ready in a post pandemic era?
Students must be guided in many ways. But my broad comments to this would be as follows. They must lift up their heads, keep abreast of countrywide and worldwide affairs. These things affect business directly. For example, if you look at the current situation in Dubai, something that they should look at, which is a consequence at the moment of the current COVID-19. The second point I'd like to make is that they must react. They must not procrastinate. They must analyse the effect of the issue. They must monitor it. They must plan and then take action. An example is the current UK legislation regarding social distancing and health and safety and personal hygiene. And so it's very, very important to take these things into account. My third point would be look for further consequences of the immediate issue. For example, COVID-19. Is the consequence of this going to be an economic recession? And we must take these things into account and we must plan for them, which goes to my second point before, which was to react. My fourth point would be learn from history. Review business trends during and after previous issues. For example, what happened in America and in the rest of the world after 9/11? What happened to the hospitality industry after the 2007-2008 financial crisis? My point here is that people are creatures of habit and that we can learn from history. And my last point is don't try and second guess anything. You may have an instinctive feel about something, but work to the facts in front of you.
Thank you. Invaluable advice from an industry expert. Several key points there: government legislations, business trends, and working to facts.
Some great points there from Julian. Thank you very much for that. I will now pass the floor on to Subhan, who will be going through how to design a CV. A quick reminder, next week's KEC 5-minute video will be on how to ace your interview, so keep an eye out for that. Subhan, you're up.
How to Put Together a CV by Muhammad Subhan, Design and Media Officer at KEC. So guys, you're looking for a new job and you found your dream job and you know you're perfect for it. You send your CV and you wait to hear back, but it never happens. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, maybe you need to look at the way your CV is presented. I'm not going to talk to you guys about how to write a CV. No, we have the KEC Guide 2 series for that, CV writing and writing a cover letter. Employers generally spend only 6 seconds scanning through CVs. So first impressions is key. If you send a neat and organized CV, you'll convince an employer to spend more time on your CV. Here's a look at 2 different types of CVs. One on the left is very simple and unimpressive. One on the right is more eye-catching. Which one would you look at for more than 6 seconds? I would look at this one. It has a great layout, making it easier to read. Short sentences and appropriately used. A minimal amount of color is used in the design to improve the CV's presentation and visual appeal. Headings and subheadings are in bold and are aligned. Same fonts are used throughout the CV. It also includes all the information a standard CV should contain, such as contact information, personal profile, work experience, education skills, and achievements. Thank you guys for listening to me on how to put together a CV. We have soft copies of the KC Guide to CV Writing, and if you guys would like a copy, please get in touch with us and we'd be more than happy to send you a copy. Again, thank you very much.
Bruce is up next with his segment on how to present yourself. Over to you, Bruce.
Hello, I want to talk to you a little bit about presenting yourself for interview. You've done all the things that Subhan suggested. You've got your CV in great shape. It's got you there for your interview. Now you're going to have to make that very first impression. And first impressions are absolutely vital. As the name implies, you only get one chance to make a first impression. When you walk through the door of that interview room, the interviewer has made a view about you. They've looked at you, they've taken in what they see, and they've made a decision. Some studies show that 80% of that first impression is the contributing factor to that final decision. Those few moments before you've even started to speak. So let's think a little bit about that first impression. Clearly, a big part of making an impression is how you dress for your interview. Your body language, of course, will also be important, but the first thing the interviewer is going to see is how you have presented yourself. Are you going to go for a slightly jazzy suit, or would something slightly more somber be more appropriate for the occasion? A jazzy suit, somber. A jazzy suit, somber. A jazzy suit, somber. You have to make a judgment. Are you going to wear a tie, or are you going to be slightly more casual, no tie? Or wear a tie, no tie. 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 You have to make a judgment. How do you decide then whether to be jazzy or more somber? Tie or no tie? How do you make those decisions? Well, one thing you could do is you could do a little bit of research. You could go to the place where your interview is going to be held and you can watch people coming in and out. You can see the sort of way that people are dressing and you can take those as a clue towards what you should be wearing. What the interviewer should be seeing when they look at you is that person to do that job. So they should take one look at you and they can immediately picture you doing that job. In fact, it's often said that when you go for an interview, you should be dressing for the job one above the one that you're applying for, so that the employer can see that there is a future for you as well within their company, that you're going to make progress and be a valuable asset to them. Of course, I've been focusing so far on male attire and what a man should wear for an interview. That's partly because I'm a man and I look strange in a dress, but it's also to just give you some initial impressions of what somebody should look like at interview. If you're female, then essentially the same rules still apply. You want to be looking as though you are already doing the job that you're applying for. So business type attire always works well. So you still want to be very smart in your appearance. Maybe you're wearing a scarf rather than a tie. Maybe you're in a jacket and blouse. But you're again presenting yourself as a business professional. I hope that you found these few little hints and tips useful in how to present yourself when it comes to your interview. I can't stress enough how important that appearance is at creating a lasting impression for your employer. They will have interviewed several people. You want to be the one that stands out in their minds, but for all the right reasons. Good luck with those interviews.
Thank you for that, Bruce. This takes me nicely onto our next presenter, Chris, who will be going through the questions to ask at an interview. Take it away, Chris.
Hi, good morning. My name is Chris Davis and welcome to South Nutfield, where I am at the moment under these difficult circumstances. However, today I'm going to talk to you about the questions that you must ask. You're going to get asked at the end of an interview. When it comes to the close of the interview and the people will say to you, do you have any questions for us? The answer to that is yes, you do. You want to show them that you want the job. You want to show them how well prepared you are. And you want to show them that you're ready for them. Don't be afraid to have the questions written down and ready so you can get out and just say, oh, yes, I have got some questions. Get them ready. At least you've got some ready to ask. You must ask them. Now, before you must ask what you don't ask. Too many people, and I've seen this so many times, people have just ruined their chance at a job by asking these questions. How many sick days am I allowed? Or what is my holiday entitlement? Or what's your maternity policy? Will I get paid weekly or will I get paid monthly? Or by cheque or by cash? These are all questions you mustn't ask at interview. They're for the HR company to tell you the answers. Now then, remember, get the job first before you ask about salary, holidays, entitlements, etc., etc. Very, very important that you do that. Now I'm going to give you 4 questions now, which are good questions to ask at the end of an interview, or when they say, have you any questions for us? Well, the first question I'm going to say is, what opportunities do you have for professional development or on-the-job training? It shows that you're caring, that you want to move on and get a good job done. The second question I would say is, what are the biggest challenges facing the company at the moment? It's always a good question to ask and to get a little bit more about the culture of that company. And here's one to get a little bit empathy with the interviewer. Ask them, I would say, what do you like best about working for this company? It's a very good question to ask. No reason why you can't. And the other question I would ask is, what are the next steps in the process, the interview process, the job recruitment process, so that you get to know exactly what they're going to do and what they say. Now, if you have any genuine questions, please ask them. Don't hold back. It's your opportunity to do the best you can, and your opportunity to get yourself the job. So the best of luck, good luck, stay safe.
Thank you for sharing those questions with us today, Chris. Sadly, we are coming to the end of this session today. It's been a real eye-opener, to say the least. If you do have a question or your question wasn't answered today, don't be too disheartened. You can contact us on careerdevelopment@nelsoncollege.ac.uk, where we will try our best to answer those questions. But for now, I'd like to welcome Varuni, who'll be presenting the next portion of today's event, our thank yous and contributions to all those involved.
Hasn't it been a great employers forum? It was truly educational and inspiring. You will be happy to know that all our employees will continue to guide you beyond this event. I want to take this moment to thank some special people whose contribution has been the starting point of this event. They are the wonderful Nelson College students who took part by investing their valuable time. Your questions are thought through and very relevant. You have helped hundreds of students who may have had similar questions. We highly appreciate your contributions, especially when you are also working hard to complete your assignments with deadlines just around the corner. You have been outstanding students, and your part in this event has equally been impressive. Of course, we couldn't feature quite as many students in our recorded event this year as we would normally have done. So please don't forget that any student that do have questions that they like answered, they may still send them through to careerdevelopment@nelsoncollege.ac.uk, and we would of course try our best to answer them. Now I want to thank a group of people I had the pleasure of getting to know while planning this event, the highly skilled employers. It is hard to find words to express my gratitude to all the employers who took part in our virtual employers forum. Your support has been vital in making this event successful. You were kind enough to invest your valuable time in this project in between Zoom meetings, assessing and reviewing your own business in anticipation of reopening. Alongside that, you are also moonlighting as technical assistants and homeschool instructors. So on behalf of the KEC team and the Nelson College, I thank each one of you. You have left a lasting impression on us, and more importantly, have provided invaluable advice to all our students. So thank you, and stay safe.
Thank you for that, Varuni. So that's it. Our Virtual Employers Forum is finished. Until next year. We hope you have taken something valuable away today that you may implement into your own daily lives and subsequently into your future careers. As we have learned from our brilliant speakers today, you are in control of your future. It is you who will pave the way to your own success story. With the current circumstance we're all facing, now is a great time to make small steps to where you want to be. So be a step above the rest. And yet, whilst things still remain up in the air, it is so warming to see people giving up their valuable time to help one another and be there for each other in such uncertain times. These employers are where they are today through hard graft and through believing in their own abilities. I think we can all agree that this virtual employers forum, although limited in some respects, has allowed us to think a bit more outside of the box. Well, that's all from me. It's been a truly humbling experience to be your host for the second year running. I look forward to next year's Employers Forum, where I hope we can all come together in a more intimate setting and relive today's affair. Here's a motivational quote for you all to ponder upon. Until next time, thank you all and goodbye.
To conclude, some motivational words. First, a word on optimism. Remember, somewhere, someone is looking for exactly what you have to offer. And on the importance of character. Talent will get you in the door, but character will keep you in the room. Concerning that perfect job, Confucius had this to say: choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Finally, a motivational word about motivation. Andrew Carnegie had this to say: people who are unable to motivate themselves must be content with mediocrity, no matter how impressive their other talents.